Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about a question that I've been asking myself since the league started and how the league ended basically. And the question is, was this actually the best league PoE ever made, or was it actually the worst league PoE ever made? Because this is kind of a video talking about some stuff about what happened in this league, and I'm not talking about the drama and things, because a PoE league wouldn't be a PoE league if there wouldn't be any drama with content creators, with Discord servers and stuff like that. Doesn't really matter, but just as the pure player experience. And I want to say this straight away. This is my personal take on it. This is my opinion, and it's super fine if you have a different opinion or share my opinion or whatever, but for the topics that I want to discuss today, please feel free to just write your 2 cents in the comments below. So, sip of coffee. So what am I talking about? So, well, first of all, League Start trailer and stuff like that, it was freaking amazing. The first 2-3 weeks were probably one of the best times I had in PoE with the new added like ascendancies, the Wildwood ascendancies, the new customizations, for the build choices. I will take my like the EK Ignite character as an example, and thanks to the charms, the build got cheaper and stronger than ever before. Things that were actually kind of yikes to solve, like spell suppression, stuff like that, or mana reservation efficiency, could easily get solved with a bunch of like charms, which, as I said, made the character cheaper, more accessible, and even stronger than ever before. And this basically happens to pretty much every character, and I think I wouldn't wonder, I don't know the statistics or anything or the data about it, but I wouldn't wonder if like 95% of the player base was actually going with the charm ascendancy, basically the Primalist, rather than the other two, even though they have like their use cases with the tinctures and stuff like that, all pretty cool. But I really enjoyed the Primalist, and honestly, I think I only play Primalist, which is, yeah. The thing is, like, you know, I like to try out new builds, and the thing that I could do with the ascendancies was just pretty amazing. As well as like the Transfigure gem, that was actually like pretty cool, because in one hand you have like all these like alternate qualities over the year coming from heist, you know, like divergent, whatever, precision, and whatever. It's like so many ways, but it was like a bit of painful if you're creating a new PoB and you're like, there is always, or let's say 90% of the cases, there is an alternate quality that is better than the actual skill gem or support gem, which means that buying your gems for like your new character was always like pretty rough, you know. And this league, they removed all of that and added the Transfigure gems, and obviously there is like, I don't know, like 100 or something, or even more Transfigure gems, and there has to be like, we need some balance, because there is some skills that are just way overtuned. For example, like Penance Brand of Dissipation, which is so freaking ridiculously strong, and this 100%, like not even close, will get nerfed next league, and some other skills as well. But these are like all the cool things where I said like, dude, this is like freaking the best league ever, because in the end of the day, I get more choices, more opportunities, the new like ways to build your character, with example the Adorned and stuff like that. It is absolutely crazy, and I freaking loved it. And then after like, let's say 3-4 weeks into the league, you know, it's turned out to be like, wait a second. So the Wildwood got discovered, and it is like turned out to be an absolute pure magic find league, and nobody cares about any content rather than just magic finding. And this is kind of a yikes, because not because of magic finding in general, but just because of the sheer amount of currency dropping. And I think this is like one of the worst things the game basically has to offer. I mean, everybody likes to have currency, everybody likes to get rich in the game and stuff like that, but there is also going to be inflation, and that's why everything you do in the game is ridiculously expensive. You know, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. I think the only two things in this league that is actually super cheap and accessible for almost everybody is Headhunter and Mageblood. Basically, thanks to the Valdo map, thanks to magic finding and stuff like that, I think a Headhunter goes for like 60-70 divines, and with the current strategies where people, you know, with a scour boss rush or something like that, make like, I don't know, 20-30 divines an hour, you can say, you know, I'm today in the evening, probably gonna just farm a Headhunter in a matter of like 2 or 3 hours, because thing is just like super cheap. The same is like with Mageblood. Yeah, it's still gonna be like 150 divines, which is a lot of currency, but thinking about that the current strategies for making currency gives you like 4 or 5 times more currency than ever before. You know, farming a mage blood is a matter of like, as I said, like 5-6 hours or something, you know, and this is kind of a weird thing. But hey, I don't mind having like super crazy uniques that is just accessible for everybody. But it also like suffers a bit in like what you want to achieve with your character, right? So, specifically, when I made my Pathfinder, you know, it's a non-mage blood build, and I needed to get some proper flasks going, you know, and from buying the flasks or just gathering and crafting the flasks up to like getting quality on there and so on, and you know, and I was like sitting there and I was like, I need some glass blowers, bubbles, whatever, because I need quality on my flasks so they last longer, right? And I said like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy like, I don't know, for 10 chaos because usually nobody will answer, right? And I bought for divines, and I started whispering people, you know, and I do it the same way as everybody does. I whisper the first 2 people on PoE trade. If nobody answers, I'm whispering the next 2, and the next 2, and the next 2, and the next 2, and then still no rep play. And I was like, wait a second, how is it, what is happening, you know? And then I started to spam whisper people, like 5 trade whispers at once, you know? And I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna get invited like 3 times, and then I have to decline 2 party invites. But hey, at least after like 10 minutes of whispering people, I can buy my my bubbles, right? But no. Still no answer, and I keep spamming, and then in the end of the day, I counted it. It was 41 trade messages trying to buy baubles for a divine, you know, which is like kind of crazy. But the thing is, like, reality is the maps that are currently being run with like the Abyss strategy, with like additional projectiles, 8 modded maps and stuff like that. There is so much stuff dropping that no items really feel valuable anymore, unless it's like a Hinekora's Lock or a Mirror Drop, you know? I see people that don't even have Chaos Orbs or anything like that on their loot filters because it is pointless, you know? All they care about is like raw Divine Drops where they get like 10, 20 Divine Drops a map, so it makes totally sense. Why would somebody waste a portal from one of these big maps for what? For a Divine Orb trade? You know, and the thing is, like, I think a Divine Orb trade is always, like, worth doing, you know? I know a lot of people that say, like, hey, you know, like, 20, 30 chaos minimum, but otherwise I'm not leaving the map. But with the current state of mapping, with the Wildwood and stuff like that, like, what is the point? Like, if there is not gonna be, like, at least a 10, 15, or even 20 Divines trade, there is no way I'm gonna leave my map, because this one map, this one portal, could be worth a lot more than your freaking Divine Orb trade, and I don't care about trading because I have so much currency, right? And this is kind of like the super dark side, and I know a lot of people are saying like, yo, this is like a bit trash because everything is so expensive. I mean, obviously, it is actually not expensive, because if you compare past leagues to the current league, and yes, there is certain items that is ridiculously overpriced, you know, or not really overpriced, but very expensive compared to the other leagues. But don't forget, with the current strategies and the inflation, everybody can make like 20, 30 divines an hour. Thinking about back, you know, what is the usual, the classic Alk and Go strategy? I would say about a 5-6 divines an hour without investment, like Alk and Go style, and then you can go up to start using your maps. You're gonna start doing like 10 divines an hour, or maybe even more, like 12, 13 divines an hour or more. But this is like very, very high max, min-max juicing and stuff like that. But let's say, you know, a good strategy, 10, 12 divines an hour. This league, you make like, what, 30 divines an hour by just rolling sextants with chance to roll 8 modded maps, and people go to TFT or any other bulk selling site and say like, hey, I can sell you in bulk my 8 modded maps for your Magic Finder, but it's gonna be like a 50 chaos per map. If you give me your regex, you know, so I filtered my maps so they are fitting your build, and it's gonna be 70 chaos per map, you know. Hey, if you want to have like additional, or at least like 100 something quantity, there's gonna be 80 chaos. And if you want to have like additional projectiles, we're gonna talk about 1.5 divines per map, you know. So people are just mass farming these maps, having quad taps of 8 modded, I don't know, Jungle Valley maps, and they are just making 30 plus divines an hour just by selling those maps. There's like everything you do in this league currently gives you a shit ton of currency, whether you're magic finding, whether you're just uber bossing. Like this is like also a pretty interesting example, because pricing items this league is very, very hard, because you know, when I played EK Ignite, I know exactly how to craft my EK Ignite gear. I know how much the bases are going for. I know how much I kind of spend on these items and what they are usually selling. And if I say, hey, you know, my EK Ignite gloves or something, they usually sell about 50, 60 divines. I don't even price check them anymore. I just put them in, and usually they sell in like an hour or two, and that's fine, you know. And this league, I was like, hey, inflation is there, you know, just put them in for 150. And like 5 minutes later, I sold them for 150. And I was like, why? Like, why is somebody spending like 150 divines for a pair of gloves that I crafted for like less than 10 divines? It doesn't really make sense at this point, right? But thing is, though, I was completely underestimating the prices of like Eldritch currency. Because if you want to get your implicits, your Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds implicits properly done, we're talking about, yeah, you need a bunch of like Eldritch currency from the Uber bosses, right? But they are actually so expensive this league that on my Pathfinder, for example, I fixed the prefixes, or at least not the prefixes, the implicits, Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds, and it took me over 300 divines of raw currency just to make the implicit. So whether the item was crafted or not, I knew that each of my items was already over 100 divines worth of stuff just because everything is so freaking expensive. And honestly, this is like a scale where I say, this was the point the point where I said, actually, in all honesty, I don't enjoy this league. Like, not in the slightest, because everything is turned around like super heavy min-maxing. When it comes to like the league mechanics, there is even like people using like map hacks and stuff to get the most Wildwood, to gain the most currency per hour and stuff like that. I mean, I don't mind having league mechanics that are kind of like min-maxy, where you can like really go out of your way and say like, hey, if I optimize that, for example, like rogue gear in heist or my sentinels or anything like that, that is super fine. But I rather enjoy leagues like, I don't know, like Legion League. You know, you go your map, you have like, your pylon, you click on it, you kind of like influence it in that way, and you just go with the flow and just kill stuff and move on with your map, right? But Wildwood is like the complete opposite, where you say like, there's people spending like 3-4 divines in mapping materials, winged scarab, sextants, and whatnot. They go into the Wildwood, and if they don't get at least like a 5,000 juice out of it, they're just leaving the map and open the next one, because they know that a 7 or 8,000 wisp map is just so much more profitable. That means that my divines per hour and stuff that I get will just be so much better, so I don't really care about losing like 3-4 divines worth of like sextants and charges and whatnot. Or scarabs, and I just go into the next map. So there's like omega min-maxing of this league mechanic. This is just like, feels like very, very awkward for me, and I was like, not even, I wanted to really play Magic Find in the start of the league, but when I saw what is possible, I completely lost interest, and it was kind of like a no-brainer that this league is gonna be the absolute Magic Finder league. And so that is basically the big problem that I have with the league, the sheer amount of currency. I think there is way too much power spike right now in the game. I think there is way too much loot in the game. And this league will definitely go down in history for being like the craziest drop league ever. I think, like, you know, if you watch something like, you know, like clip highlight videos like Gamer for Life or any other channel that does like these videos, like you see like a half an hour straight mirror drops here, double mirror drop there, there is a mirror drop, here is a mirror drop, you know. A mirror drop is something that is like insanely rare, and I have like 14,000 hours in the game. I have never found a mirror, and I'm pretty sure this could have been the league where I found my first mirror, but and I hope I don't get banned or cancelled here or demonetized or whatever. But you know, finding a mirror in the Affliction League has the same value as losing your virginity with a prostitute, for example, right? It just is not really fair at all, because, you know, every other league, you know, finding a mirror is something like crazy cool, or even like finding a divine orb. You're like, yo, nice, I found a divine orb. What can I buy, you know, or what can I upgrade on my character? This league, you know, you kind of get mad if there's not at least like 10 divines in one single map, and this is kind of like, it's like super yikes. And I hope, it's just my 2 cents here, right? I hope that that the next league, I mean, this is like the sad part, no matter how good the next league is gonna be, everybody will compare it to the Affliction League, and it's gonna be shit by default. And I already know that people are gonna be highly complaining because I don't think that GG will keep up the pace with like the amount of loot dropping. So next league will probably gonna be a lot less loot, or basically normal loot again. And people gonna be like, yo, GG stealth nerfed the loot by 90%. Like, what's going on? I had so much currency last league, and this league I'm not finding. I'm playing like 10 hours a day, and I find like one divine every 2 days. Like, what's up? Like, this like shit league, and stuff like that. I know exactly that this is gonna happen, the same as like it was in like Harvest League or Ultimatum League. And that's why I really basically enjoyed the Expedition League so much, because this was the league where everything got nerfed. Like, removed like the perma explodey chests, removed the power of like, nerfed every skill but like 50%, the support gems and everything. And I think this is also the reason why Ultimatum was like so well known for being like such a cool league. And I just think it's like because everything was pre-nerfed and we had like those crazy builds, right? But in all honesty, I would wish we would have another kind of Expedition League where just everything gets like nerfed again, because I think it is getting just too much power, too much everything. And maybe it's just like in preparation for Path of Exile 2. I think the beta will start this year, and I cannot wait to go at it, and just like have a different experience. Maybe this is just the way GG wants to have it, like that way where you say, hey, if you want to have like super omega big characters and super juice, then PoE 1 is your way. And if you want to say like, hey, it's gonna get way too fast and way too crazy and min-maxy, then maybe it's just better to go back a step and play PoE 2 instead, right? And I think this is like, yeah, what I plan to do anyways, right? So, I just got a bit caught off guard with like the video ending, but hey, I think this pretty much sums up the video. So for me personally, was this the best or the worst league? And I have no doubt, for me personally, this was like one of the worst leagues that we ever had, which started off to be the best league, turned into the worst league just by, yeah, the sheer amount of power and whatnot. It's also like, if you think about it, you can easily spend like 200, 300, 400, maybe a mirror, maybe 2 mirror in your gear. But if you open your passive tree, you could easily spend like 20 mirrors in your passive tree with like voices and adorned and charms and which was taking and I don't know. There's so freaking much power spike that you don't even need to have good gear anymore, because the majority of your power is basically coming from your passive tree nowadays, right? And this was like started in like Daily League with like cluster jewels and stuff like that. And it's getting better and better. But think about, for example, I enjoy dot builds, and back in the days, like let's say 3.5 or whatever, nobody was even thinking about like doing dot cap builds because it was just so far away. Back in the days when Essence Drain was good, with like 4 or 5 million DPS or something with like high budget gear. And nowadays, like, which dot build can currently not reach dot cap? And yes, even Essence Drain Contagion with Blighting combination can reach dot cap nowadays. And it's getting worse and worse and worse every single league when it comes to power spike. And I think this is kind of like, yeah, kind of sad. And I hope things are going to get worse in that case. So the game is like more enjoyable. This is just for my part, because I don't want to, yeah, just throw on like 10 divine gear and just clear the entire content without really having the urge or the need to progress any further, because I can already do all the content. Alright, guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. This was probably the last video of Trade League. I'm currently playing Last Epoch, which I'm really enjoying, so I'm probably going to make a video about Last Epoch as well, like, first impressions and stuff like that. Then the Scissoring Gauntlet, then the Last Epoch release, and then hopefully soon in like March or April, going into 424, the next Path of Exile League, which I personally cannot wait. Yeah, because League Start is always like a magical thing, and yeah, cannot wait to relive it like every other league, basically. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.